Hello, cosmic beings. This is Virgo Queen, your transformation coach, using the tools of astrology, tarot, sound healing, and ritual. And I am here with Tanya, one of my dear clients, and she has asked for a life purpose astrology reading and a life purpose tarot card. So, Tanya. We've already kind of looked a little bit at your natal chart, so you know some of the other aspects going on within you, but we really want to look at your life purpose, your career. What is it that your soul was here to do?
Exactly.
So, what we're first going to look at is we will look at your sun also has some aspects of the energy that you're moving into. We also will look at what planets are in your 5th house and your 10th house.
Okay.
So, and then we'll also look at your nodes. Okay, we have a lot to cover. Don't get overwhelmed. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'm here to guide you through this.
Okay.
So, where to begin? What really calls to me is I want to start with the nodes. So the South node really represents the skills, your natural abilities, your past lives. What is it that your soul is already familiar with? What it's done before. So these can be just natural talents, natural abilities, and skills that you're really good at. This is also where we would go and look at your different past lives and where your soul has been, the stories of the soul.
Ooh.
It's profound work.
Yeah.
And then we look to the North Node, what you're evolving to, where you want to go. Okay, as a soul, as a what you're evolving in this life. So first, the South Node is in the 3rd house. Okay, so remember the 3rd house is really about our communication, our neighbors, our siblings, this kind of energy. Very still learning to be in the world.
Okay.
Right? The 1st house is getting to know the self. The 2nd is about self-worth. 3rd is who I am in communication. How do I relate to people on a superficial level?
Okay.
And so your South Node is there. So you have a lot of experience, and it's in Virgo.
Okay.
So Virgo, the archetype, is very connected to cleansing, to purity, to natural law, to really wanting to they have this justice about them, this honor, and they're really protective, actually, of what...
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're really, very critical of others and of yourself. You kind of have this high esteem in which we need to follow by. So you kind of have your own set rules, I would say. And you've tended to kind of come from this superficial level with people. Like I said, 3rd house is kind of, really just okay on the surface. And so this is kind of the energy. So your natural skills are going to be very attention to detail. You're really good at distilling information. So researching and then finding, the important things to emphasize. So you're a good editor. You're just a natural communicator, right? So you feel comfortable speaking to others intimately or in groups. And being clean.
Being clean?
Being clean.
What do you mean by being clean?
Well, your environment in which you live needs to be clean, needs to be orderly. You're very natural at putting aesthetics things together, like making a home. You want it to be clean because it makes you feel better, but you're also good at it. It's something that you need to feel familiar to yourself, right? If you're in too much chaos, too much clutter, it can convolute your creativity.
Yeah, I can't really work unless I clean my studio and I put everything in order, or my house when I have to draw. So it's like, it's a ritual. I clean and I work.
Exactly.
There
So that
you go.
is perfect.
Makes
It's your
sense.
natural ability.
Yeah.
So how your soul wants to evolve. So because South Node, third house, you're going to have your North Node in the ninth house.
Okay.
And ninth house is really about higher education, exploring. It's ruled naturally by Sagittarius, right? So they're the explorer. They're also the truth seekers. They kind of want to delve into the unseen. A lot of this can be seen in spirituality and understanding the other realms of consciousness. So your soul really wants to learn more about high conscious things. It's probably why you're here getting a astrology reading, because you're like, I wonder what it could be, what stars are saying for me. So your soul really wants to incorporate that more into how you evolve as a conscious being. So then that means your relationships are going to be more stimulating intellectually. So you'll be really attracted to different perspectives, different cultures, and probably be drawn to the esoteric or, the old ancient ways of learning things. Because you have Pisces, right? So your North Node is Pisces, and Pisces is the artist, is the creator, and she's really part of, where that ancient magic comes from, right? But Pisces is a water sign, and you also have a sun in Pisces, and they're all in the ninth house. And so it's really, you really identify on a solar plexus level your identity to how you want to evolve.
Okay, I have a question. And I left my hometown about 10 years ago, and I lived abroad ever since, so not even in my country. Like, I lived in other places, and sometimes I had the question whether I should go back home one day or not, but I had always this feeling like it will be the death of me somehow, like dramatically speaking, because
you mean your Leo moon?
Leo moon speaking, because I felt always like that it wouldn't be enough stimulating for me, because I came from that reality and I met so many people throughout my path, and inspiring in all the cultures, and that was keeping me alive, and like it opened many doors, and many perspectives. I learned many things, and I don't think I would have got the same knowledge and feeling if I would have stayed in my hometown, for example. Or like, after all this cultural baggage that I have, all these things that I learned and seen, going back there would be like going back to sort of like box that I don't fit anymore. And I always thought, oh wow, this is just me, and I'm exaggerating this feeling. But now that you're telling me this, I understand that actually this is what I need in my life to feel happy, and this is what cosmically I need to fulfill my path. So like, I'm not going back anymore.
She's done. Bye home.
Bye.
But now you know, instead of constantly going into that confusion or into what we can say that default.
Yeah, exactly.
The default is the South Node, right? Going back to the superficial relationships that you were in, the kind of superficial culture that you were in,
exactly. And actually, I come from that. I come from like a very superficial, in the box kind of culture. And I always felt that was never enough for me, and I could never grow as a person if I would stay there. Some people can do this throughout their lifetime.
And they have different aspects in their chart. You have something that pulls you.
Ouch.
This is, the North Node is often where the calling is.
Yeah.
Right? People have this calling, and it's the North Node.
Mm-hmm.
And you chose to shift it. You chose to access your North Node in order to guide you through these experiences.
Mm-hmm.
This is good work.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it feels right.
Yeah.
I always have this question in my head, but now I shouldn't be questioning about it. Like, I should just, like, considering that was a chapter of my life, and that's it.
We have many chapters.
Definitely many chapters. But sometimes you ask yourself, is it, like, should I not go back home? Especially if you're expat, especially if you're traveling and you live abroad. You always have the question, should I go back home?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think often during our Saturn returns, a lot of people do return home.
Exactly.
They question that and be like, okay, but if they had their astrology, then they would know. But sometimes there is that return home that gives us back kind of that support and that foundation. That's what home and roots are all about.
Yeah. And
allows you to fly, allows you to expand because you finally feel supported.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We all have different ways we do that. So the next aspect that I would look at is your 5th house. So the 5th house is, you know, your creative projects. A lot of people say your children. You know, children could also be your creative projects, however you want to look at that. Love affairs. But it's ruled by Leo, right? So it's like the heart. So your heart's desires, what you need to fulfill. And you have Pluto, my dear. Pluto in Scorpio. Wow. So in evolutionary astrology, we focus primarily on Pluto because Pluto is the soul of who you are, the energy. So it's not a personality like the sun is, right? And it carries the many lifetimes of who you are as well. And just you as this like multi-dimensional consciousness. This is what the soul is. And it's come through in the energy of Scorpio. Okay, so Scorpio is really about, you know, you are in the Pluto-Scorpio generation. And this is significant because these are the people that are destroying, or I want to say deconstructioning the old ways. Okay. Right? So the old systems, the old ways we used to do things. And Scorpio, again, it's going to be very creative. It's going to be in artistry or some sort of, you know, it's the medium of art. And so that can be expressed in so many different ways. Fashion, media, artistry, fine art, gardening, these things that transform one thing into the other. That's what often what magic is as well. And so you are definitely here to, with your creative projects, bring great change to like the consciousness of humanity. Okay. No pressure or anything, you know. You're just here to change the world. So it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. But this is really intense energy. So what this tells me is you're incredibly passionate. You have a huge, just something that pulls you. It's like beyond ego. It's beyond anything. It's like it moves through you. And so then we look at like the energy of what your 5th house is, and then how you're going to actually produce it out into the world, which is the 10th house. So the 10th house, we look at your career. And you, my dear, have Venus and Jupiter in Aries. And this is quite an energy. For one, Venus is the goddess. Venus is your gifts and your talents and your sensuality, and it's in Aries, so it's very like entrepreneurial, like very, you know, you're kind of creating your own way, your own industry, your own niche in the company, or in the whole industry. But then you have Jupiter in Aries, which is just like going beyond what everyone else is doing. It's incredibly unique. And but yeah, it not only expands your career, but expands the world. It expands consciousness. It expands our perspectives. What we've seen before is something new now. So it's really, you have this Pluto energy of like really needing to reinvent something and give it to, I mean, the goddess, the feminine. And yeah, there's just a profound wanting to create your own world that doesn't exist yet.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. And talking about my career, it's like, so I do plus size fashion. So it's really like about breaking the whole beliefs about beauty and women, and just transform and make it kind of like how can I say, cater to them, because they're being forgotten, they've been neglected, and that's how I feel about the Pluto and Scorpio, and then the 5th house of 10th house.
10th house is where the Venus Jupiter is. Yeah.
So that's how I feel, because I'm recreating this reality right now where like I really want to give space to plus size women, and just make them part of this reality, and they're being so neglected, and I always feel like we need space. So like expansion, I need to expand this idea in order that I can really like take everybody in somehow. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
So for one, you own your own business, so you're definitely in that field of that Aries of like, okay, if no one else is gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Exactly.
Not waiting for anybody.
Yeah. But the fact like you are seeing something, because not only your life experience, right? So your wound was that, and then that's how you're healing it.
Yeah. Which I think also my job is healing many parts of myself that I didn't get to heal because somehow I couldn't. But once I started my project, I started my business, I also started to heal my wounds. And it was really actually a fight, because I never knew how to heal them. I tried many things, but then only the moment that I start working on my project is the moment that I also healed so many aspects. And I feel like the more I work on it, the more I become also powerful, and my wounds are hopefully.
So you brought up a great aspect, because this is seen in your 6th house. Okay. And this is kind of a juicy part. So here we have this 5th house energy, which is kind of like unlimited, like we're just going to create. 10th house is the discipline of it. But then the 6th house is actually how you do it. Right? It's the everyday life, it's the routines, and you have so many planets in this house. You have Neptune, Mars, Saturn, and Uranus, all in Capricorn.
Okay.
All in the 6th house.
Yay.
Yay, what does that mean?
Yay.
Discipline. Yes. So the fact that you have Neptune in Capricorn, that can kind of be where you get overwhelmed a little bit by like, how do I do this everyday dream? Like, how do I make it into this reality? Because your vision is so big. It's practical though. You dream in practical dreams. You're not going to be someone where like, oh, okay, I want to fly to the moon.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, no, I'm going to build my own business and then build my own store. And, so it's like, it's practical and achievable.
It's achievable.
It's achievable.
So I can daydreaming and not feeling a little silly because I'm dreaming about something like, oh my God.
No, it's all going to lead to somewhere.
Okay, great.
Because you have that Mars energy. Right? So when you're talking about when you work through it, that's how you can heal your wounds. Because your wound, Chiron, in the 12th house, so that's how you find your medicine, 12th house is all about the unconscious self, the hidden parts of you, the things that have not come to light. And so that is where, you know, the female embodiment has not come to light yet. Everyone's still seeing what is normal or what they want to see. It's an illusion, right? Because the reality is that most of the women in the world do not wear a size 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the industry has this whole
fake reality
that's
fake
not real.
Image that's been created. Right. Yeah.
And so then women have all these like you know, body issues and all these things, and it has everything to do with, you know, what the unconscious has produced, and now we have to heal. And so your Mars energy, you work through it. Mars is that masculine energy that needs to move. So when you're disciplined, that's when you feel your best. And then you have Saturn. So it's like if you're not being disciplined, you really feel like a victim.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So you get really melancholy if you're not successful, if you're not, you know, living to your highest standards. You get like, it can be very dancing on Saturn's rings. Like you can be on one side where everything's harmonious and in sync, and the other side is dark and shadow and this sucks and what is the point? But then you have Uranus that just will come in and be like, spark you with inspiration to just be like, okay, get out of that. Come on, let's get creative. And it surprises you with twist of good fates along the way.
Okay. And also twist off failure along the way, right? This is always,
it's all a balance.
It's all about balance. Exactly. Can't have it all, basically. Yeah, it absolutely makes sense.
But what I want to say about this inspiration that comes to you, I think a really important thing to, because you are a very creative, a very crown chakra access point, it means that you do get visions all the time. But sometimes they're not yours.
Yeah.
And so this is something that I would advise about, you know, when you do get an inspiring thought, because this is probably where the melancholy comes from, is because you're reaching out thinking you can do all these different things, and then when you fail, at least about the majority of them, you feel like a failure. But if you had focused and being like, no, just this one, this is the one I'm working with, then all that goes away.
Yeah.
And that's when, again, when you're working on it and when you're focused on the one task that you're doing, you're the happiest.
Yeah, exactly. And also when I have a routine, actually the strictest, the better for me. And it's kind of funny because some people are just like, I don't want to be in a routine. I mean, a routine scares me a little, especially from my Venus in Aries, which is like not really into a routine kind of thing. But when it comes to my professional life, I find inspiration through routine. Yeah. If I don't have a discipline, I'm lost. Yeah. And therefore I get very depressed, or I feel like I have no meaning, let's say, or put in like in a tragic way. But I really feel like there is power in my routine. I mean, that's where I found the power. But as I said, it's very individual. Some people needs to break their routine. So
again, because they have different aspects
in
their charts, and your aspect wants you that.
Yeah.
Because you do also have this very, again, like I said, you can be very get lost in the cosmos because you're exploring and understanding all these different things. Then the discipline needs to come in. And I have to say, it's not even really discipline, it's the self-responsibility. And I think that's where we really find our empowerment, is when you feel responsible.
Exactly. Yeah.
For this vision that you have. So it's like, okay, I want to inspire plus size women to feel beautiful and to be dressed in beautiful clothes, and because I want that for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
So the things that you're healing yourself, you heal others with.
Hopefully so.
I feel like, you know, we keep one moment at a time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And one life at a time.
Yeah.
So this, I would say, is the life purpose of you. Your life purpose, I really just want to say in one example.
Yeah.
And it's this.
Yeah.
The Empress. This is her
It's
life.
me.
Her life purpose card. So this is part of the Mother Peace Tarot deck, and this represents the soul of her. The Empress, the one that looks to all the natural resources and the finest qualities, and she is empowered by being in her body, by loving every voluptuous curve and seeing beauty in everything. Right? She is Venus.
Yeah.
She is Venus. You have Venus in the 10th house. It's just that, it just smiles every single time that happens when we look and seeing that, yes, it's in the astrology chart, and yes, it's also in one simple, the essence of all what we spoke is within the Empress.
Within the Empress, yeah.
And so this archetype you can bring with you and remind yourself, I am the Empress. In every moment when you feel like a failure and all those things, you're like, well, what would the Empress do? You know?
Yeah, that's actually a good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely have to channel the energy sometimes.
Let's channel that energy.
Let's channel the energy in the tough times. Yeah.
But that's what they're also there for. Because it's easy to just know and to go through life and be like, oh, living our path. But then it's in the obstacles in which we access these tools. And so this is also, and I hope you join me next time, in a transit reading.
Oh, we'll love
See,
to.
so this is just the natal chart.
Yes,
and so the natal just really shows, you know, her soul in which she was born, and then how the transit chart shows what's going on in the current cosmic sky with her natal chart, and so it shows how it's affecting her on a seed level. And then there's progressed charts, but that's for another time. So I just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely, for joining me and for taking that brave step into understanding who you are and your life purpose. And I'm so excited for the work that you are giving to the world.
Thank you for all the guidance. It's awesome. And I will definitely bear in mind the Empress. It's just a very powerful image.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. And thank you for coming and tuning in. And until next time, blessed, blessed, blessed be.